Let me start this off by saying that not getting into Harvard was not the worst moment of my life. In fact, getting waitlisted at Harvard was probably one of the best moments of my life because, clout. I'm just kidding. The reason why I'm thankful for having gotten rejected ultimately from Harvard is because fun stuff happened instead. So essentially I applied for a program that has like thousands and thousands of applicants each year, and they only have 23 slots. So I rounded up all my material, recommendations, things of that nature, and I got an interview. I had never dealt with kissing ass on that level quite yet in my life, and so I reached out to my brother, who is in market research, and he's used to kissing ass. So he's like, Ryan, what should I do? I feel like I did a really good interview. How do I follow this up with something to further cement my application? And he was like, write them a thank you letter. So your girl went down to Target, bought a super nondescript but still collegiate kind of thank you letter box set, whatever that means. And then I looked up online, like the two people that interviewed me, their names in particular, what they do at the university, this, that, and the other, and was just like, dear such and such and such and such, thank you so much for taking the time, Sent it in, a month and a half, 2 months elapsed, finally get an email. Dear Paige, although we really enjoyed your package, we regret yada yada yada. Long story short, you're on the alternate list. But, just chill. So I'm chilling for 2 months, 2.5 months. And then I do a thing. I've grown really accustomed to doing this my whole life. It's called pivoting. Essentially, when something doesn't go your way, whether it be a dream or an idea or a project, you're on this path towards that thing, doesn't go your way, you pivot. Change your direction a little bit instead of just prodding at this one thing that seems to not be going anywhere. Although I was still on the wait list, there was still like a little margin of me maybe getting accepted. I was like, worst case scenario, if I don't get accepted, what would I do instead? Mope? Yeah, I've only got one. At the time, I was in this theatrical production, and one of our stage managers was from Martha's Vineyard. If you don't know Martha's Vineyard, look up Jaws, Kennedy BS, Vineyard Vines, On Speed, a lot of beautiful people, busy rich people, hydrangeas, and the ability to ride a bike everywhere. So I was like, okay, so if I don't get into Harvard, I'm just gonna take the summer and make a lot of money on Martha's Vineyard. I ended up starting this conversation. And mind you, before this time, I wasn't put myself out there kind of person. I always saw it as kind of dirty. Now I see it as a necessity in getting your life to the next level, because no one is an island. All right, so back to Martha's Vineyard, pun intended. So I ask her, do you know of any jobs I could possibly work there? So she says to me, when I was living there, I was able to work at this resort on the beach, and I worked with the kids there in addition to serving. And so, chilling on the wait list, eventually I get an over-the-phone interview with her former supervisor. And former supervisor and I are like, hey, how's it going? What are your thoughts on child development? And mind you, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, so I was shooting the ish. I think this in my work with low-income kids. And then she's like, by the way, you're not going to be working with low-income kids. Okay, like that's cool. So we get to the point in the conversation where it's like, how long can you stay? And I'm like, well, if I get off the wait list from Harvard, then I can only stay until like June 30th because the program starts in Moscow, like August 1st. She's like, well, that's high stakes. And I was like, yeah, but if I don't get off the wait list, as in I get flat out rejected, then I can stay the whole summer. She's like, call me selfish. I'm rooting for you to get in, but I'm also rooting for you not to get in. Solidified. So I send a nice little email to Harvard. Yo, Harvard, what's the sitch? And they're like, sorry, Paige, we can't offer you it this time. Okay. All right, I'm in, to the supervisor. So I end up going there via ferry, and I have the best summer of my life, and I make the most money I've ever made in my life. A lot of connections. And from there, the world unfolds for me. Some technical difficulties. Anyway, so my life, as I knew it, changes forever, based on this one little pivot. I'm in Martha's Vineyard on an island. It's off season when I go. The real season doesn't really pick up until July. And mind you, I didn't come with a car. The more populated areas of Martha's Vineyard are really interconnected by this bike path. Well, I just took my bike everywhere. I just rode it everywhere. Literally by the end of the summer, my quads were like slightly enviable, or more than slightly. So anyways, peak season hits, and I am being inundated with families left and right wanting me to babysit for them. Somehow I'm really good with children, which was a skill that I didn't pick up until the end of college. And somehow I'm really good at getting people to like me and make people comfortable. I have empathy. I've been through some stuff. So people trust me and they can talk to me, which boded well. Because a lot of the families that I was working with, they were millionaires. Some of them were on the Forbes list. Some of them had very famous cousins that have been in movies, or one was a producer of Hamilton. She was chilling. So I found this market for myself where I could use my skills, i.e. being good with people, loving nature, and being slightly athletic when the time is right, and being good with kids. It was crazy. I have one piece of advice. It's get out there. Literally, while you're in college, you can make like thousands of dollars over the summer and just save that shit. Save it. So watching kids. I'm making a lot of connections with families who are from Manhattan. A lot of people from Manhattan get bored of the Hamptons and then they come to Martha's Vineyard in August. Didn't know that. Know that now. A lot of them were like, oh, I wish you could come watch my kids in Manhattan. That'd be sick. And in my mind, I'm like, yes, that would be sick because I want to be an actress. And Manhattan is where I want to be. The master's program at Harvard was for acting. Had a lot of offers to babysit people's kids, mostly part-time because a lot of people already have nannies built into their schedule. And a lot of the times I would be like, I have already booked a trip to Europe because all this time I was making all this money. I was like putting money bit by bit into like plane tickets and train tickets and hostels and bed and breakfasts for a month-long vacation in Europe. I know a lot of people there, so I can cut corners really fast. And so when these people would approach me, they'd be like, I'd love for you to watch my kid, and I was like, I'm going to be in Europe until the end of December, so theoretically I wouldn't be able to move to New York until after the New Year's. So summer ends, sad saying goodbye. I go back to Rhode Island, where I'm from, and I basically spend all of fall, with the exception of this show that I was in, just chilling in my room. No quads left. That's fine. On New Year's Eve, it was weird because I received like multiple text messages from New York families being like, hey, have you moved yet? Hey, are you moving? Can you watch my kids like part-time? And I debated this with my stepdad, my stepmom, and my mom. I was like, should I go, work these part-time jobs? And they're like, no, don't do that. That's not a financial move that you should do. Because I had just gotten back from Europe and like, your girl was on zero at that point. So I ended up taking a part-time job from January until April and then went back to the vineyard in order to cement a nannying job in New York City full-time. I ended up doing that by like May 2nd. His mother, who is self-made and a CEO, called my supervisor at the time and was like, hey, is there anyone that could watch my 2 fraternal twin boys? They're 3. They're really athletic. Is there anyone that could do that? Put them on a good schedule, etc., etc. We're just there for a long weekend. My boss was like, I know just the chick. The mom ends up calling me while I'm at this alpaca farm. Martha's Vineyard's weird. And she's very straight up. And I got really used to very straight up people. Very no-nonsense, crazy people. And she's telling me the business, would you be able to do this? And I'm like, hell yeah. So I end up watching her kids. On the second day, she's like, would you ever want to move to New York City? I'm like, yes, of course. I'm an actress, of course. She's like, would you want to work full-time for me? Watch the boys. I was like, yes. She's like, you're not going to ask me how much I'll pay you? And I was like, no. And then she told me the figure with benefits. And I was like, deal. So I end up getting the okay from my boss to fly out to New York. The mom paid for it, by the way, and live in their in-law apartment for a week, kind of as a test run. And things were Gucci. And so, long story short, I ended up moving to New York City to pursue my dreams as an actress by Labor Day weekend. And the saga continues.